Hi all, so welcome to this channel again, and today I am with this topic, that is inline and non-inline SQL functions. So basically today I'll tell you how we will be creating the inline SQL function or a non-inline SQL function. So the both two differs in itself. So let me show you the example to explain these things, that how they differ. Let's move on to the IBMI. Now this one is the example of non-inline UDF function. So here you can see I am using the set statement. So whenever I'm using the SQL, so it means it's a non-inline SQL function, or maybe this time I use set, you can use select statement as well. So they all are non-inline SQL function, and the important thing is they won't be deterministic. That is, they always be not deterministic. And now here I'm telling you one more thing, that here I used atomic. So let me tell you why I use atomic. Just because if I'm using this set statement, and if there can be chances that there can be more than one set statement in this SQL or SQL UDF function. So whenever as the set SQL statements are more than one in a particular begin and end unit, so this is called a unit A1. So if there are more than one set statement, then if any one of the set statement gets failed or returns false, means uh, the whole body would be failed. It means that if any of the set statements failed, nothing will be happened, means none of the things will get updated using these set statements. So for example, if there were two set statements and first set statement is successful and it updated some value, and second was failed, so the first statement will be, the effect of first will be rollback in itself. So if I mention atomic here, then it means then all the set statements must return true in itself. So that's why I used atomic. Now not fenced is something which is I'm telling that this function must run in the same thread, not in the separate thread. Specific, this is the unique name for this function, and the service program object gets created with this name. Language SQL, so if I can write, or this is optional for me. If I won't write, it's by default SQL. And this function is basically taking two inputs and it is returning character of 30 length. Now here you can see this is the main body, begin and end for this one, and this is atomic just for the purpose of using set. Now you can see what I'm doing here. If I'm checking if sale is greater than purchase, I'm returning the profit by concatenating the profit, this one, and the amount which is coming as a profit. And then if sales equals to purchase, then it's no profit no loss, else it's a loss and will negate from purchase, we will negate the sale from the purchase. So then at last we will be returning this PL, this variable which we are declaring here, and we are setting using the set keyword. And this is the end of the body. So if you're using SQL set statements or select statement, then it is an non-inline function. So here now comes the inline SQL function. So inline means making an SQL function inline. Then what does that mean is something will return the things from the very first line, that is from return. So here you can see I'm not using, so the same function, this was the same function, and you can see this was earlier the non-inline function because just I use set here, and here you can see this The same function is an inline function. I'll tell you later in this video that how we can identify whether this is an inline function or this is a non-inline function. So here you can see this is an inline function. Basically we make that non-inline function to the inline function. So here you can see the main important thing which you must remember in an inline function is that function must always be deterministic, the first thing. And these are the common things like language SQL specific, this is the unique name, this is not fenced. So and it must return the expression in the first statement. So basically when we call this inline function, it first executes the first state execution, it would return that expression, and then in the next calls we won't be accessing this service program object and we are getting the results. So basically it is just an advantage over the non-inline function. So for not calling it again and again, what requires in that case, that is deterministic. The function must be deterministic. So in case of same value we are putting, it won't get called again and again. Now here you can see one more important thing is I'm not using any SQL statement, any select or any set statement. So if I would use that, make it a non-inline function and it will return on the first statement, that is return. So return, I use case when sale is greater than purchase, then profit. When sale equals to purchase, then no profit no loss, and if else case, that is loss. So let me create the objects for them or create the function. So the first thing is using run SQL statement to create the function or the objects. So here comes the source file name, here comes the library, and here comes the source number, that is 18. So first one is created. Now for the second one, that is UDF 19, so it also gets created. Let me show you. Work object, so you can see the service program objects gets created. And for this one, so you can see for this one as well the service program objects get created. Now let's check the function name. Calc profit, and the second is calc profit loss 2. Okay, now move on to SQL select star from sys ibm dot sysdummy 1. So this returns me a flag. Now let's apply our function. So let me pass some value. So the first one is the purchase amount, let's say 120, and comma, then it's an sale amount, so it will return me a loss of 20. Now if I, so this was an inline function. If I return it, if I call it again, so it won't call the function again, or it won't access the service program object again, because it's an inline function, it's a deterministic function. Now if I change the parameter, it would get called, it would return me 30. Now if say, let's say 200 is the sale amount, then it's a profit of 70. Now it's 200 on both sides, then it's no profit no loss case. So in case if I pass null, So we did not specify anything regarding the null, that is return null on null input or called on null input, like these things in our SQL function. So it will get called on the first time because it's an inline function, and on the second run it won't get called. Now this was the inline function. Let's call the non-inline. So it would also return me the same result, but that's an inline, and difference between an inline and non-inline, let's say 130 and 500, so it would return me a profit 630. It's a loss of 130. Let's say make it same, no profit no loss, so both returns me the same thing. Now let me show you how we can identify whether this is an inline or a non-inline function. So we have an catalog view in qsys2 library, that is sysfuncs. So where either we can specify the spec name, which is unique for every function, or the function name in itself. So function name, let me use like here because we are going to see for those two functions which we created. Let's use percentile. So that's present in this library. This is the specific name that is unique for both of the functions. So they are actually a SQL function. This is the external call. Is deterministic or not deterministic? So you can see, so the inline was deterministic and non-inline was not deterministic. Let me show you that. We can directly select that. Let's select those fields. So let me select those fields. Just take shift F7 to show the long names for this. So this was the column which tells me whether it's an, so the first one was the inline. So let me show you, the first one is inline and the other one is non-inline. So this way you can create the inline and non-inline function. So we have an advantage of using inline function. So if there is any possibility to create an inline function, then you must create inline function and go for that option. Else we need to create the we will go for non-inline function. But we have an advantage over the inline function, so we must take care of these things when we are creating the user defined function. So that's all things which I want to cover in this video and have already been covered. So now that's all. Thank you and have a nice time.